So, oh man, I need more friends. I got about three friends. So again, I apologize about the car audio on the way, because once again, I failed to acknowledge the lifelong journey it was going to be to charge these things. I left it in the car again last night. So, oh, Colton, why are you slamming the pre on the way to the gym? Don't you encourage us to take it at least 30 minutes prior? Of course I do. A, yes. B, I didn't put it on Do Not Disturb. So if somebody calls me and it cuts off, you're gonna see an angry, visceral reaction. But let's not bullshit today, guys. It's gonna be a rest day. So what does that mean for the life of this channel? Well, historically speaking, biceps. Yeah, we're gonna hit biceps. Today's a rest day. The videos are gonna be a little off right now. The video, day 12 into my cut yesterday. So I hit back and rear delts with my friend yesterday morning, and then I did a cardio yesterday evening, last night, or it wasn't night, it was evening, I guess. It wasn't dark out, and I recorded that. So today is, right? Yeah, so yeah, yesterday was back and rear delt yesterday morning. So today would typically be legs, but my friend and I are gonna train legs tomorrow. We already talked about the hyperbole we're gonna create in our hamstrings, basically. We're trying to let our hamstrings, essentially, you want them to almost turn into isolated members of your legs, right? You want them to be so pumped that you can see the physical sweep. You guys may have seen, if you see someone do a side chest, you also gotta get the side of your quad there, you see that hamstring sweep. So we're trying to, basically isolate our hamstrings to be, its own entity, or even its own municipality from the rest of the legs tomorrow. So I didn't need to explain it that way, but today is would be. So anyways, yesterday was back, today would be legs, right? You push, pull legs. Yesterday was a pull day, but because my friend that I trained with hit arms the day before, we only did back and rear delt yesterday. We didn't do biceps. So today, a rest day. You guys have seen, this is at least the third video I've made. In the last few months of this channel, this is at least the third rest day that I've actually not rested on. I don't think I've taken a rest day in, I don't remember when, but I kind of follow the philosophy, for those of you guys out there who are maybe curious about rest days in your split. I kind of follow the analogy, or not analogy, but I kind of follow the analogy of life is going to give you rest days, right? I'm not going to plan for a rest day, because I know a rest day is not going to be planned for me, Like, I'm going to wake up one day and be like, man, I just got, for whatever reason, I got a lot of extra work to do today. Got some family stuff. I got to help out this person with this. I got to go to my buddy's house with that, whatever. And you just can't make it to the gym, and like, it's legitimate. Man, I just can't get to the gym today. That's a rest day, right? I'm not going to take a rest day on a Wednesday, because what if that unplanned rest day is Thursday? Now I just took off Wednesday and Thursday, and then your split kind of gets screwed up. And it's not the end of the world. Of course, you want to be flexible with your training and stuff, but if you're taking it relatively seriously, and that's where I was at for a long time, is I was telling people that I was taking it seriously, and I was acting like I was taking it seriously, but I wasn't, and I knew that I wasn't. Even though I was training as much as I could, I wasn't taking the diet seriously. I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do. So that's one of my character defects that I'm trying to work on, is just committing to the things that I know are going to make me better, that don't just benefit me, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of times, if a friend needs help, say you're going to help him and go help him, whatever, those sorts of things. Just do the things that you say you're going to do. I guess it's a lifelong message for those of you in the viewership community of this specific long-form card. What did we call it yesterday? Pre-lift dialogue. So, because I hit back yesterday without biceps, I'm going to go in today and I'm going to hit cardio and biceps. This will be my rest day. Plus, my legs did need an extra day or so of rest anyways. That same friend last time I hit legs, which was 3 days ago, with that same friend, we completely just you know, we rearranged a lot of stuff down there, and not in that way, but I should have used a different analogy for that. We wrecked our quads, is what I'm saying. We did hack squats with 7 plates per side, so 14 plates total, which, if my bro science math adds up, it's should be, you know, minus some chings and cracks in the plates, maybe a couple pounds lost here and there, should be pretty close to 630 pounds on the hack squat, standing hack squat. Really quad focused. So we did, for my last set, which ironically was my best set, which typically, based off yesterday's cardio logic that I told you guys, your last set should be your worst set. In theory, your first working set of your first exercise, when you first get to the gym, should be your best set of the whole workout, because that's when you're the most fresh, the strongest, the pre should be kicking in, those things. But I did, my last set was 630 pounds for 14 reps. My friend got 13, so of course I had to try to do 14, but he did, I think, assisted me on those last couple. But that's another benefit to training with somebody. You know, the friend that I trained legs with, you know, he has strong legs, and, you know, going with him it's nice for me to want to, like, kind of compete, because it helps me push further and do weight that I normally would be like, oh, I can't do that weight, but, you know, whatever. So last leg day was intense, so I needed an extra day. Anyways, so today is cardio and biceps. The audio will be better here. I'm letting this thing charge. I'm gonna probably sit in the car for a little bit and sip on this, let it kick in a bit. There's a guy pulling out right there. He kind of looks like never mind. I don't need to go that route today. But yeah, I mean, biceps is relatively easy, right? So, oh, Colton, how do you train biceps? Well, I bring my hands from here to here, and then I put them back here. Very simple movement. Or I should say, biceps in general are all simple movements, because there's only so many ways to contract the bicep, right? And hitting biceps and triceps is the same logic, in that you're bending your arm and then extending it. The only difference is which portion of the movement has the tension. So in a bicep, right, in a bicep building context, this portion has the tension. In a tricep building context, the eccentric portion the extension of your arm is where the tension lies. So anyways, the only real, to talk on biceps here for a few minutes before I go in, I'll keep this under 10 minutes, don't worry. The only real difference with biceps is going to be the angle in which you are spinning. So if your hand's facing down, remember that's pronated. We talked about that maybe a few weeks ago. If your hand's facing up, that's supinated. And then if your hand's in the middle, it's a neutral grip. You're really going to focus on that brachialis and that forearm, which is kind of going to give you that width. So there is 2 heads in your bicep. There's the short head and the long head, right? So the short head of your bicep is what's going to build. If you see somebody, like, look at Phil Heath. Finish this video and then go on Google Images and type in Phil Heath bicep shot. Man, that thing's freaking reflecting right into me. Does it make me look majestic? I don't know, we'll leave it. Because when you see a very developed bicep, you will see a split down the middle, like a legitimate split. You will see you have the short head and the long head. I don't know why they're called the way that they're called. I don't want to take my hoodie off yet, but basically the place where I'll show you guys in there when I'm hitting arms, you'll see. I may record some sets in there, I just don't know how I'm going to feel yet, but you have 2 heads of your bicep. So when you're supinated, your palms facing up, you're going to work a little more of that short head. And if you're you're in the front of your body, you can still have your palm facing up, but kind of inward like this, kind of hit that outer head of your bicep. So there's different ways to hit it, but honestly, as long as you're bringing your arm from a fully extended to a fully contracted position and squeezing at the top and letting it get a nice full stretch at the bottom while still keeping tension on the bicep, that same guy is moving again. It's like as if that spot there wasn't good enough, or maybe he just wanted to drive it a few extra feet. I think he was getting a shaded spot. No, legitimately don't know why he's moving around so much, but anyways, yeah, we're gonna do probably, biceps. They're a smaller muscle group, right? Your biceps are a smaller muscle group. Your delts, your traps are a very small muscle group. The range of motion is literally from here to here and back down to here. So, you know, calves, biceps, those sorts of things, all smaller range of motion. But so they don't take like the most insane amount of complexity, but they do need love, they do need work. If you want to get a bigger bicep, you need to isolate and train your biceps, right? Don't rely on heavy barbell rows or heavy cable rows where your arms are facing up, your palms are facing up, so you get a little more bicep activation. Don't rely on those to build your biceps. If you want to get bigger biceps, you know, just go hard on bicep curls. So I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'll probably do, of course, yesterday and this morning, for some reason, I was feeling really pervy to standing heavy barbell curls for maybe 5 sets of like, I'll work up to like 135, so 45 on each side. I'm okay with getting a little swing those first couple sets, because towards the beginning of the lift, again, when I have the most amount of energy and the most amount of glycogen reserves, and you know, I'm still fresh enough that I can handle that heavier weight. I'm really trying to get as much tension on the bicep as I can, so I'm okay with a little bit of swinging, I guess, in the beginning, and then as my energy sort of depletes and I get a little more fatigued, I'll kind of maybe switch to more cable machines, seated preacher curls, that sort of thing, to really just focus on the squeeze and controlling the range of motion, full range of motion. So yeah, I'm gonna sit in here, play my phone for a little bit, let that charge, so I can give you guys better audio in the next clip, and then hopefully you guys can see some heavy curls in the next clip. Okay, so as you can see in the next clip, the audio is worse. So this is my first voiceover I'm going to have to do, because the next about 10 or so minutes is unplugged mic action. So yeah, the receiving end, which is what is connected to the phone, I didn't plug in. So anyways, we're just doing a warm-up set here. I believe this is a 55-pound bar. I didn't ask anybody, but typically the Olympic bars are 55-pound, and they usually have in the back of our weight room. You can tell they're 55-pound because the grip's thicker, the knurling's a little bit wider, and then the actual plates, or the actual bar itself is obviously heavier. So I was just talking about here, making sure that you're not going to complete lockout, so you're not going to lock out the elbows at the bottom. You want to go down to about, like, let's just say that complete locked out was 180, maybe about 170 degrees. Reason being is at the bottom, so when we look at biceps versus triceps, when we look at biceps versus triceps, the bottom of the movement for bicep is when your bicep is fully extended and your arm's hanging below you. The bottom of the movement for a tricep is when your hand is up by your shoulder and your tricep is fully extended. So they're opposites, right? So when your bicep is fully extended and your arm's hanging to your side, you're at the bottom. And for triceps, when the weight is at its peak tension, your arm's completely like, 30-degree angles, like almost like your wrist is touching your shoulder. That's the bottom of the tricep. So just make sure that you're not, again, I'm showing here, don't lock out the tricep. This may have just been the same video twice. I'm not even sure, but yeah, I think it was. I think I may have just done the same video twice, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, don't lock out, right? So don't let your arms completely extend and hyperextend, because then your tension's not on the bicep. So go down to about 170 degrees. Your arm's almost extended, but still enough to keep the tension on. And then once we get to the top of the movement, you're just trying to squeeze the absolute shit out of your biceps. Because what we're doing is the muscles are being broken down on the negative portion of the movement, or when the bar is coming down or the cables are coming down. That's the negative portion, or the eccentric portion of the movement. That's when your muscle fibers are being torn. And then on the concentric portion, or the contracting portion of the movement, is when you're just shoving all that blood right back into the bicep, and then repeat. So here's our first working set. As you can see, I'm just keeping it controlled. I always act as if there's a bar from my elbow to my elbow going right through my body, and my elbows can't move forward, nor can they move backwards, right? This is how you're going to make sure that if your elbows are cut, like right there, my elbows came up at the very top a little bit. When that happens, I was just resting for a second. You're taking tension off the bis. You can see there I held it. I didn't fully come up all the way that last rep. But basically, nonetheless, you want to keep tension on the bicep the whole time. That's really the overarching message that I'm trying to send here, or like the general consensus of, those with really developed, biceps, both the short and long head, is the tension on the biceps the key. Audio's coming back here in a few more clips. Like you can see there, that's just a good range of motion. This shirt isn't necessarily the best just because it is a bit nipply, but this, oh yeah, keep in mind, I'm recording this video, this audio clip, like a week after I hit this lift. So as of today, August 19th, which is about a week after, yeah, exactly a week, because my last video was the 12th. So 7 days later is the 19th. So yeah, this is a week after this lift was actually performed. Or, you know, freaking constructed, if you want to look at it like that. I'm down 11 and a half pounds total now, so I am 228.8 is my, oh, I just slammed it in, oh yeah, I threw the weight off there like a jackass and the freaking plate slammed in my freaking tripod. But anyways, you can see it in the background. I got my Stanley Cup, I got my orange, it's called Zero Ultra, but it's actually 10 calories. I recommend now the Rise Fitness is RYSE, not fitness, sorry. The Rise energy drink, RYSE. The Sunny D flavor is killer. No carb, no sugar, no fat, no protein, and no calories. There's only 20 milligrams of sodium, which is less than 1% of your daily value, so it's just macro friendly as hell. But make sure you're drinking it not like what I'm doing mid-lift or, you know, the beginning of the lift. Because basically, if you finish off your energy drink or your pre-workout, your first set, it's not going to kick in until you're on your last working set. Anyways, here, as you can tell, we are just, this commentary is just going to be all over the place because I'm talking about a lift from a week ago that I haven't watched since I did it. But anyways, with biceps, the biggest thing is just time under tension, right? If you want to achieve progressive overload, that can be done, as we've talked about many times, either via hypertrophy, which is just a shit ton of volume, whether that's 5 sets of 30 reps or 30 sets of 5 reps, however the fuck you want to do it. 150 reps is a lot of volume, you know, 10 to 12 sets, I always say, per muscle group. You know, something like your quads may be able to achieve, you know, peak pump at maybe set 6 or 7 or 8. I was just training with my homie, Mr. Officer. I don't want to say his name on here in case he doesn't want it to be said. We just trained legs like fucking yesterday, and me and him have the most insane workouts together because we push each other in a lot of lifts. But we did I don't even know where I was going with that. Whatever. We just trained heavy, and we achieved progressive overload via we hack squatted 14 plates, so 7 plates per side, 630 pounds. I got 14 reps as my top set. You know, we just push each other really well to achieve the peak pump. So with the quad, for example, him and I yesterday, the point that I was trying to make, after our like second set of, we did RDLs for hamstrings. You can see here, this is one of my top sets. I focused on negative, so I think it was, I don't remember what this was, maybe 100 and something odd pounds. I don't know what bar we were using here, so maybe 105 pounds if it's a 55-pound bar. So you can see I'm doing some swinging up to the top to get the weight up, and then I'm focusing really, really heavy on the negative. So I'm intentionally swinging to get the weight up, and then control. Nothing but control, 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 control. You can see my facial expressions are obviously emulating a very, very severe pain in my biceps. But anyways, yesterday we did legs, and we did RDLs for hamstrings with 120-pound dumbbells. And yeah, long story short, my fucking quads and hamstrings were thrashed. But the point of that was, after about the second set, I was pumped, like almost fully pumped. And even my quads were relatively pumped, because when your hamstrings get pumped, the contrary muscle to that, or the converse muscle, is your quads. So right here, because my biceps are getting pumped, it's stretching my skin out, so my triceps are going to appear to be more, you know, striated than maybe they would be if I had a tricep pump. So yeah, anyways, negatives are, just long story short, if you train intense, you can get a pump, you know, for a bigger muscle group like quads after maybe 3 or 4 sets. But to really, really exhaust the muscle and get an actual, you know, progressive overload status check mark, I would say anywhere from 10 to 12 sets. If you're an early lifter, maybe 8 sets or so could do the job. But if you're doing 20 sets for a muscle group, you're just, you know, you're overtraining that muscle. You're just not getting any added benefit. And here we're just doing strict curls. This is really not that much weight. Of course, I'm a little more fatigued towards the end of the bicep, you know, the heavy barbell curls. But really just trying to control my shoulders. If you look at my shoulders on both sides, they're staying parallel. I'm not shrugging one more than the other. A little bit of swing in there towards the end just to get that weight up. Again, those force reps are huge. Yeah, we're trying to get as many reps as we can here to just burn out the biceps. Again, it's only the first exercise of biceps. I didn't record too much of this workout just because I was pissed off that the mic wasn't plugged in, because there was such good commentary here in real life. I'm just kind of, you know, I guess we could say, well, actually, we'll just get back into the lift. I lowered the exposure here. I have a hard time finding good lighting, just because, you know, I'm not obviously this is a week ago, so I was about 3.5 pounds heavier than I am today. So I was about 232.8 as my lowest weigh-in at the time of this video being filmed, which was a day after my last weigh-in. So you can see there the triceps are, I mean, I'm getting lean. If you guys saw me now, I mean, like when today was arms, because I switched up my split, you can just see there the muscles just wanting to bulge out. I think maybe even I flexed the tricep at the bottom of some of these movements. I don't know. But regardless, yeah, right there you can see that's really, really a lot of muscle belly right there. Not even being self-centered. I'm just, you know, I'm proud of the physique that I've been kind of eliciting these past few months. But anyways, nonetheless, we can see here we're just focusing on the squeeze all the way at the top, nice and controlled the way down. If you got to get a little bit of swinging action in there to get the weight up, I mean, if you didn't swing, you might be missing out on 4 or 5 negatives, which is really where, when you start to feel the pain, that's really when like the sets and like the growth really, really starts to matter. If you're stopping, look at that right there. You can see that a little better of an angle. If you drop the exposure on pictures, if you look at like any famous, like especially like Alex Eubank, every picture he has on Instagram, the exposure is damn near fucking negative 1,000, because it accentuates the shadows. And when you're, well, I'd say if you see a bodybuilding competition, when you see bodybuilders on stage, when they say I look washed out, they say I look washed out when it's so bright that you can't really see any of the shadows or the contour of the muscle, and therefore it washes it out. Whereas if you have dimmer lighting and maybe just one overhead light directly above the competitor on stage, right, the bodybuilder, you can see right there, you can see the tricep a lot because you can see the shadow. When you can't see the shadow because it's too bright, it just takes away from the development of the muscle. So by lowering the exposure, you can kind of increase the likelihood of getting a pretty good shadowed bicep or tricep peak shot. And obviously the leaner I get, like today when I was hitting arms in my new split, which is going to be, at least as of now, arms, legs, chest, back, repeat. So I've been doing push-pull legs for the longest fucking time. Push-pull legs rest. So I'm hitting every muscle group every 4 days. The 4th day being a rest day, which, as we know, I don't do rest days on this channel. I've never done an actual rest day. I still go in and do cardio, and I'll maybe hit some forearms or some calves. But yeah, I mean, nothing too much here. Is really just a lot of fucking heavy barbell curls. This is one of the best ways just to build just pure mass on the bicep, right? You're talking about that wider grip. The wider you go on the bar, the more of that short head or that interior part of your bicep where you can see when you're doing like a front double bi. And then the closer grip, more close that you go, you're going to focus more on the long head or the outer part of the bicep, which you'd see more on a back double bi. And then, of course, doing a neutral grip. I mean, no matter what way you're doing a barbell curl, you're going to be just adding mass to the bicep and just pumping the whole fucking thing up. But your grip definitely, you'll notice the wider you go, the less weight you can control. And then the closer grip that you go, kind of like Charles Glass, if you guys know him, he talks about you can pull, you can curl, let's say, a good amount of weight. You can hold even more weight, and then you can release in a negative fashion the most weight. Just saying, in any movement, you can, if you're benching, you can press a good amount of weight. You can hold even more weight than that, and then you can drop in the form of a negative the most amount of weight. Saying that it may even be beneficial to only do negatives because of the weight that you can handle. So yeah, negatives are definitely a good part of any sort of workout, especially when training like a muscle group like biceps. That just hamstrings and biceps negatives are insane. But yeah, that's pretty much going to conclude the voiceover. Let's just say the key here: just go hard as shit on biceps, and they're gonna get bigger. Okay, so minor technical issue. My mic wasn't on for all those sets, so I didn't plug in the phone on the receiving end. So anyways, I'll do a commentary in the car about what I did with those barbell curls, but not usually a fan of this movement unless I isolate like this, one arm at a time. So that's what we're gonna do. We'll sit here for a couple sets. Really just isolate only the bicep. Also can help with any muscle imbalances, doing one arm at a time. I'll only get probably one more set recorded here, and then I'm gonna just do some me time. Well, about the only other fucking angle I could get is right there. So let's try to focus on, remember here, we're getting the full squeeze at the bottom, or full squeeze at the top, all the way down. I'm feeling the bicep to make sure it's engaging all the way, right? So we're gonna start with my weaker arm, which in this case is my left arm. Okay. Get a nice squeeze, I can really get the bicep activated here. Right. Full range of motion. Trying to pump it up. I'm only going to record 2 sets. Remember, don't do any more reps for your stronger arm than your weaker arm. Start with the weaker arm and match the stronger arm to it so it can catch up. All right, I'm gonna do a few more sets, so I'll see you guys in the car. Oops, right? Actually put the mic over there, but let's put it back on my shirt. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry about that. That'll do. So, oops, that was my first mistake. Was I know you guys can't really see right now, but these Rode mics are awesome. But both the receiver and the actual mic side of it, the receiver is mounted on the stand that you guys are currently on. Try to get you guys up a little more. Sorry about this angle, guys. Try to get you up a little more vertical. You can kind of have some better angles there. That's a little bit better. So you can kind of see. But anyways, so you have to have both, the mic on and the receiver, but the receiver also has to be plugged into the bottom of the phone. It's not Bluetooth. It actually bypasses Bluetooth, so I could have headphones in and play music while also recording. So those really the majority of the value from this video was in those 4 or 5 sets of heavy barbell curls that you saw me doing. So really, literally none of that got on audio. So I'll run through that quickly, talk about that finisher, and then we'll just get this up, throw it up on the channel. So today is the 13th. I think we're at day 13 into the cut. I'll probably take a couple more days off recording. Reason being, I'm not committing. Just so people know, I'm not committing to recording every single day. I'm not recording every single day, every single lift. You guys may be a little bit crooked, but that's fine. I'm just trying to record, maybe once or twice a week. Just a video a week, just to track my progress. I can see if I'm recording every single day. That's not a horrible idea, but it's just a big commitment on my end. I just got other stuff I'm dealing with and going through, so I don't feel like I don't want to make that commitment. But anyways, so we started off, as you guys saw, different angles there. I'm not sure if I'll put like a song over that part of the video, or like how to leave it silent, whatever. You guys can skip ahead. But you can see there, and we also already had our post-workout meal, which was a turkey sandwich. But anyways, you can see there in the beginning when you guys saw me. I wish I would have got that freaking audio on. I had both of the mics on, but I just never plugged it in. So I could see that it was receiving, and I was tapping the mic to make sure, but dang it. Maybe you'd be able to hear me a little bit, but I was pretty far back away. But that second set, so my first working set wasn't my heaviest set. My second working set was when I did the negative. So I had 100 and some odd pounds on the bar. I used a rubber plate, so it's kind of hard to gauge the weight. If you're just looking at it, you have to actually know what you're picking up. And I was using the Olympic style bar, I think. So the Olympic bars, if you guys don't know, I believe those are 55-pound bars. So the actual bar itself is a little bit, I think it's a thicker bar and has like more knurling on it. Oh, sorry. So, but for whatever reason, I couldn't tell if that was or not, and I didn't feel like, swapping out the bar and all that stuff. So it was either a 45-pound bar, which is typical that you'll see at your standard gym in the bench, or it was a 55-pound bar. I don't know. But it was around 100 pounds or so, 110, maybe 115 pounds that I was doing the negatives with. So I did like 6 to 8 sets of negatives, which is basically, as you guys saw, but just to kind of recap, where you kind of swing to get the weight up, because again, I talked about Charles Glass in that clip too. Charles Glass is a legendary bodybuilding trainer. He was a bodybuilder himself, had a great physique back in the day. He's an older dude now in his 60s, pretty cool. Whatever. He's one of the most notorious trainers because he's really knowledgeable and knows a lot about it. Whatever. And he talks about how there's 3 parts to every movement, right? There's the holding part of the movement, there's the negative part of the movement, and then there's the concentric part of the movement. So for a flat barbell bench is the best example, right? Shoulder blades are retracted, unrack the weight. Me holding the weight here, that's me holding. It's like a static hold. You're just holding the weight there. The negative portion of the movement is when the bar is coming down, and that's when the muscle fibers are stretching and tearing and tearing and tearing. And then the concentric or the contracting portion of the movement is when I push the bar back up. So Charles Glass, it's not even an ideology, it's just truth. But the way he explains it is, you're going to be able to push up the least amount of weight. You're going to be able to hold. You're going to be able to basically resist the second most amount of weight, and you're going to be able to hold the most amount of weight. So I guess a better way to explain it is, I could hold 500 pounds. I could probably do a negative with 400 pounds, and I may only be able to actually push up 300 pounds, just to make it like basic. I'm not talking about myself, just in general. So you're going to be able to hold more weight, right, than you can actually lift. And you're going to be able to basically drop the weight in terms of a negative more weight than you can push. So, there's this thing you guys may have heard as you're swinging around over there while I'm hitting bumps. There's this thing called a static hold. A static hold is sometimes it's a nice way to do like a form of progressive overload where, let's say that I can only bench, let's say 350. Okay? I'm going to put 405 on the bar, so 4 plates, and I'm going to unrack it, have somebody there as a spotter, and I'm just going to hold it. I'm going to just feel the weight, have that static hold, and then I'm going to rack it. I'm not even going to move the weight. Maybe, again, let's say I can only bench 350. I'm going to put 375 on the bar, or 365, we'll say, so 3 plates and a quarter. And I'm going to have a spotter pick it up. I'm going to unrack it. I'm going to just drop the weight, control it as much as I can, and have the spotter help me pull it back up. So the spotter's doing the majority of the pulling, and then I'm, again, doing a negative. Get to the bottom of the movement. Spotter pulls it back up, right? And then after that, then my actual working set would be, let's say I put 315 on the bar, and then I'm just repping it myself. So those are different methods that you can use to help with strength and progressive overload, basically putting more weight on the muscle and getting your body trained and basically adapted to holding more weight as you're working towards being able to actually, use that weight for like a full set of 8 to 10 or whatever. So with that ideology, there's this thing called like negatives, which is where you're focusing on like the negative portion of the movement. So for a heavy barbell curl, since I could maybe get a couple reps just straight without moving and just locking my elbows in, because again, we want to almost act as if there's a bar from this elbow to this elbow going through like your body, and your elbows can't move at all. They're the pivot point. I talked about, if you saw me doing this in the video, if you know about like construction and engineering, the pivot point is where 2 objects pivot off of, and this pivot point, which is where those objects intersect, it's incredibly important, if not the most important, that part does not move and budge. If you look at any sort of engineering contraption or module, any point at any time where there's, like, especially on a bridge, the point where those intersect, that should not be moving. If it is, it's gonna get distressed, it's gonna snap and explode. So the more that your elbows are moving, the less bicep you're activating, right? And biceps are very easy, not complicated at all. But if you're swinging a lot and you're doing that a lot, you're gonna get some front delt activation, a little bit of chest activation, and just basically anything that's not the bicep, we don't want to activate, right? We want to isolate the bicep. But from a progressive overload perspective of trying to increase the weight, right? A progressive overload can be done by either heavier weight or more reps or a combination of the two, right? If you do if let's say your max bench you're just starting is 135, right? Next week you can hit 135 for one, maybe in the next couple of weeks, hopefully you can hit 130, you can hit 145 for two, and a couple weeks later, more and more and more. So if you never increase the weight and you only increase the reps, eventually you're gonna get to a point where I can do 135 for 40 reps. It's not going to be realistic. So to counteract you getting better endurance and being able to move the weight for more reps, we can increase the weight, right? And then vice versa. If you're like, man, I can't do this much weight, I'm going to drop the weight so I can get more reps, or I'm going to increase the weight so I get less reps. But regardless, progressive overload, so we're overloading the muscle, whether it's through volume or weight, is the ideal training method, right? And even a combination of the two, right? I'm not big on I'm really big on feeling, like just training how you feel, but at the same time, you still want to track progress. You don't want to think, oh, well, I know all my lifts, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this, and like you have hundreds of movements, and like your Rolodex of movements, you're not going to remember, oh well, last week I did 3 sets at this weight for this many reps, and 2 sets, and this exercise I did 4 sets for 3 reps at this weight, and this extra, and it's just going to be too much, and over years and years and years. Like if I were to ask you guys, how much were you hitting for a lat pull down for about 10 reps 3 years ago? You're not going to remember. And I'm not saying you have to journal every single workout you do, right? I base a lot of how I work out off of feel, but maybe some of your bigger compound lifts, like your bench, your squat, your deadlift, your dumbbell press, your barbell rows, your hack squats, those things you may want to track or at least document somewhere, like I'm doing on video or wherever, so you can try to see yourself progress from a strength perspective. Because a lot of times, not even doing anything different, just being able to track it, can say, oh, last week I did 135, or sorry, last month I did 135 for barbell rows. Maybe this week I'll try 155 or whatever. So anyways, with the barbell curls, the negatives were kind of swinging it up to get it up there, and then I was just really controlling the negative portion or the eccentric portion of the movement, swinging it back up there. And who cares what people think in the gym? Like I'm training hard and I'm doing something specific. Swing it up there again, control the negative, because the negative is where the muscle fibers are tearing, and then the concentric portion or the contracting portion or the flexing portion is where the blood is going back into the muscle. So I don't even know, like 5 to 7 sets of heavy barbell curls, and then towards the end you can see that I just really focused on getting full range of motion and squeezing. Went over to those seated, that cable loaded machine, which I was trying to say, which you guys heard the audio there, because I realized it wasn't plugged in. But I like to do kind of one arm at a time for some reason that machine, I can't get a good squeeze when I can't squeeze the biceps good on the top of the movement doing both arms at the same time. So I kind of, pivot my body like this, and I'm kind of focused like more like this, and I'm like doing this method here so I can really just kind of perfect the way that my bicep is, and I'm more or less just focusing on the squeezing portion of the movement, right? Then I stopped filming, and I went and did some, I just wanted to obliterate my biceps. I had such a nasty pump. Like I could just see my biceps had just significantly grown. The skin was stretching. I was noticing some vascularity in the forearm, which is a good signifier that I'm getting leaner. So I went on to some cable loaded, what did I do first? Actually did some dumbbell curls, standing alternating dumbbell curls. I did some seated preacher curls with the dumbbell. Went over, did some heavy cable, or not heavy, but I did some cable curls, a whole bunch. Some seated preacher, so I kind of sat like this on the ground, using my knees as kind of like the anchor point, and did some preachers like that on the ground with the cable. And then I finished off with just one set of the plate or the machine loaded preacher curls into one arm at a time. I'm a big advocate for biceps doing one arm at a time. Just allows you to get a better squeeze. The only movement that I did, both arms at the same time, was the heavy barbell or heavy barbell curls. So yeah, all in all, it was a good bicep only day. I did cardio and biceps. I didn't do that much cardio because again, I'm doing my 10,000 steps a day and I'm tracking everything. So I'm not trying to lose freaking 5 pounds every week. So this coming week will be my third weigh-in on Thursday or Friday. I'll do my weigh-in. And then that'll be like, I always say, your first week, you're going to lose weight. Your second week, you should probably lose some more weight. And if I'm losing another 2 or 3 pounds the third week, then that's a really, if it happens 3 times in a row, that's a really good signifier that my calories are at a good spot, and we can start to dial in later. But yeah, biceps, I mean, they just require a lot of different work. You know, I just work different angles. You can do hammer curls, cable, machines. You can do some pronated curls, some neutral grip curls, some supinated curls. You can do cable, you can do barbell, easy curl, reverse curls. I mean, you can do so many different types of movements for biceps. I would just say, you know, 10 to 15 sets of biceps, you know. I would do less. So like on a pull day, because you're going to you know, I use wrist straps for a lot of my heavier pull days. So like when I do bent over barbell rows, I use straps. Once I get to about 185 on bent over barbell rows, I throw on the straps. And then the heavier sets of lat pull downs, I use straps, and then I pretty much take them off for like different back isolations and stuff. So you're going to get a little, but regardless, you're going to get a little bit of pre-exhaustion, a little bit of fatigue. Maybe not quite fatigued, but a little bit of pre-exhaustion in the biceps on a back day just because of the heavy pulling motions, right? Your secondary muscle group is going to be your biceps. So at the end of a back day, don't just say, oh, my biceps are good and neglect to hit them, but maybe another 5 or 6 sets of isolations. Maybe after your back day, go do 3 sets of seated alternating dumbbell curls, and then maybe 3 sets of heavy or not, you know, moderate to heavy preacher curls with a lot of reps, just to really burn out the biceps. You guys can tell if you have a pump or not. So yeah, biceps isn't overly complicated. Just make sure that you're hitting them just as often as everything else. You know, try to hit them twice a week. If you're in the early stages, the first maybe year or two of working out, hitting everything maybe once a week or every 7 or 8 days is fine. But as you progress in your lifting career, I mean, hitting a muscle group once a week, it's just too much recovery. If I have chest days, like, you know, people say International Chest Day is Monday. If I had chest on Monday really, really, really hard, like I normally do, I'm training hard, I'm hitting my chest, right? I'm activating the pecs. Tuesday, I'm going to be really sore. Wednesday, not that sore. And then probably Thursday, I could probably be good to hit it again. Friday, for sure, I could hit it again. Saturday and Sunday, I mean, there's just extra rest days that your muscle doesn't need that much time to recover. You know, maybe, so I do the push-pull legs. So I do push, and then I'm resting on pull, legs, rest, and then the 4th day, hit it again. So there's only 3 days in between hitting each muscle group. Whereas if you're hitting it once a week, you're going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to have 6 days until you hit it again. So literally double the amount of time, which from a muscle building context is just unnecessary. It's just too long. Are you going to get gains? Sure. You're still going to progress. And if you're getting in the gym, hit everything once a week, you know, take my advice and throw out the window. As long as you're going to the gym consistently and trying to be regular, that's really what's important. But if you're trying to, you know, really carve yourself up and take it to the next level and get in serious shape and, you know, that kind of stuff, and really look good and take care of yourself long term, twice a week. Hit your muscles twice a week, man. You know, especially muscles like calves. Like they can be hit, honestly, 3 times a week. You can hit like Monday, Thursday, Saturday. You could hit calves. You know, like because they're a small muscle group. They're hit a lot more often. They require more volume. You know, just to stimulate growth. So, yeah, that was biceps. Be a little while, maybe a couple days or a week or so till I record again. So this ought to do for you guys. We'll see you in the next one.